Hey, Paul here with another rant. This one's on being a successful introvert. If you get sweaty palms at the thought of facing even a small group of people in a room, then this one's for you. So what do I see as victory at 60? Well, one of them is I avoided most small talk while still paying the bills. I could talk to people one-on-one, but that wasn't really my thing. So if you are an introvert, I say embrace it. Admit it proudly, maybe just to yourself. And pick a career that kind of allows you to not be so overt and loud. And maybe don't aim too high in your career. Well, at least that's how I tried to handle it all. I spent decades in the IT support field, and my title may as well have been the guy who hides behind the server rack. Personally, I always preferred computers over people. I guess accounting would be another suitable job for introverts. And also maybe accept that wanting to be alone isn't a personality flaw. It's a lifestyle brand. Wear it like a badge. A very small, low-key badge. And in meetings, if you have to be in them, get good at nodding, writing things down, and if you have to talk, use notes and pray they don't ask follow-up questions. Now, I never really liked meetings or even team building exercises. I remember going to one and the instructor asked everyone to line up from the most extroverted person to the most introverted person. So naturally I went right down the introverted end, and they came up with a microphone, stuck it in my face and said, "So why do you see yourself as an introvert?" Yeah, I can't remember exactly what I said, but did not enjoy that experience much at all. And why put people through that? Later in my career, we had to do the leadership meetings, which was all the kind of heads of department getting together and taking in turns saying how our department was going. And I used to dread those meetings, as you can imagine. I pretty much remember spending the entire meeting thinking, am I next? When's it my turn? And couldn't really listen to what other people were saying because I was going through my head what I was going to say and how I was going to say it and how quickly I would get through it. And I have to say, it was extremely relieving when I'd finished my very short description. And throughout my career, I have tried different methods of trying to get better at it and different, shall I say, performance enhancing drugs. But yeah, still really didn't enjoy it at all. I was getting a little bit better at it in my last year or two of working at my last job, but I never really took on board my successes, and each encounter sort of started afresh. But yeah, I did manage to get through it all. Although I do have to say I've always avoided any type of presentation. I think a presentation is a intense type of talking to a group, and just refuse to do it, which, yeah, I do kind of regret in some ways because I think I would have been reasonably good at it. But if you have the anxiety I had, then you just don't bother. And on a personal note, I couldn't even give my epitaph for my mum at her funeral. And thankfully, my wife did it for me. So I do feel bad about that, but you have to live within your means, as it were. So I reckon there are some superpowers for being an introvert. One of them will be a deep focus. We can be solving problems in our head whilst the loud extroverts are still chatting away, discussing possibly less important details. I mean, some people do like the sound of their own voice, even if they're not saying something useful or intelligent. And emails and written word is my love language. I could be charming, as it were, in those types of communication, but yeah, not so much in verbal. And I think it leads to being concise. So you say far less words, but get your message across. So some of the practical tactics I developed over the years was to try and arrive early at a meeting, try and get a seat that's closest to the door as an early escape route, and also try and line it up so you've got as fewer people as possible that can see you. So if you're in line with others around a table, they can't necessarily stare at you while you're talking. And as I said before, just go along with a nod. That at least shows you're somewhat participating. And some good replies if asked a question is to say, well, I'll look into that. And then at least it could be followed up in an email. Although sometimes you do have to follow up at the next meeting if you're unlucky. And I did like IT emergencies that unfortunately didn't allow me to go to a meeting. And yeah, may or may not have faked a few of them, but that was always a good excuse. And I have to say, after a meeting, I could return to my happy place, my desk, and I had an office to myself most of the time. So basically, when there was a hint of the meeting finish, rush out the room and run to my office and stay away from people for a while so I could recoup, as it were. So looking back on it all, as I'm reaching 60, I've come to the realization to stop apologizing for who I am. So if you're an introvert staring down 60 like I am, give yourself credit. You've already won by navigating a world designed for loud people. So go enjoy your well-earned quiet success, preferably alone or with a few important people. And if you're just starting out, talk to your boss. I'd talk to mine, explain the situation. She was understanding. And yeah, try not to avoid too much those situations. The more you do it, the better you'll be at it. And also maybe try some public speaking courses or something like that, which I was always too scared to go to. So yeah, but there are things that you can try. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave any comments. And I'll see you in the next one.